my corona. You know, I've been stuck in this house for too long. I'm getting really bored. I feel like a mutant prisoner on the island of Genosha. And with that clunky transition, X-Men! Hi, I'm Anthonix Maximus, bitching to you about movies because Ozzy Osbourne once ate a bat and God decided to send us to our rooms. Yep, it's a crazy world now. Because this COVID-19, we are all quarantined. Poor Vincent is out of his coma. Sid Xander is finally freed from Dr. Cinema, and all in time for them to be trapped again. I suspect foul play, Dr. Cinema.
Don't you dare put this on me! My world domination plans rely on bad movies being released, but thanks to the coronavirus, all movies are shelved.
That's right. Was the New Mutant supposed to come out now? And also, how am I able to hear you and see you through a camera?
Let me answer the last question first. Shut up.
Okay.
Yes. After years of development hell and constant reshoots and rescheduling, Disney finally had a solid date promised. But apparently even God himself didn't want the film released.
Believe it or not, part of me wanted to see New Mutants.
Really?
Well, yeah, if nothing else, at least to get that memory of Dark Phoenix out of my mind. I really did not want that to be the last X-Men movie.
I am quite proud of that one.
Well, I can still review X-Men. That franchise turns 20 this year.
Oh, good. The right age to garner attention from the Tiger King. Topico.
Hey, Topico is my bit.
I am going to Costco.
You're not gonna buy more than you need, right?
Hey, I may have caused some deaths, orchestrated your best friend in a coma, held Sid Xander captive for years, created bad movies, all to conquer the world. But I only buy what I need because I'm not an asshole.
Wow, you're really responsible. And you're wearing a mask?
Till next time, Anthonix Maximus.
See? Even Dr. Cinema knows how to behave during a quarantine. We should all aspire to be like him. You know, except for the whole evil thing. Now to review X-Men. I don't need to explain the backstory again, do I? It's a Bryan Singer film that was in production for quite some time, finally released in 2000, and it's based on the comic book series from 1963. The original mutants in the comics were Cyclops, Jean Grey, or Marvel Girl, Beast, Angel, and Iceman. Of course, created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, these guys wanted to make a comic book series that was reflective of the time of the Civil Rights Movement, that involved themes of prejudice against people who were born differently. And I imagine it's a lot easier to say certain people are born with powers, rather than having to go through and explain how each and every single damn character got a power. Of course I wouldn't have to explain all that if you've seen my Pryde of the X-Men review, but I don't think you're ready for that conversation yet. Whoa, that was a fun roller coaster ride. Now let's riff on this next scene. I should point out that before this movie, Magneto didn't have a Holocaust background to his story. In the 90s cartoon, it was implied that he came from a war-torn country. And also, in this movie, they gave him the name Eric Lenscher. Before that, he was just known as Magnus.
In the not-too-distant future.
I mean, nearly 60 years is kind of distant, don't you think?
Up the Canadian Rockies, and then it's only a few hundred miles to Anchorage.
And this is Rogue, played by Anna Paquin, faking her southern accent before she does the same thing in True Blood. The amount of times that's happened to people I've kissed.
David?
teeny tiny little nitpick. The boy that Rogue put into a coma in the comics, his name was Cody, not David. But you'll learn in this series that the writers really don't do any research.
That mutants who've come forward and revealed themselves publicly have been met with fear, hostility, even violence.
What is it the mutant community has to hide, I wonder, that makes them so afraid to identify themselves?
She literally just said it.
Eric,
I'm looking for hope.
I will bring you hope, old friend. And I ask only one thing in return. Don't get in my way.
Admittedly, this movie is a slow start to a movie franchise, but at least Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen deliver the best dialogue between two enemies that happen to be best friends. Too bad those two are the only ones with the best lines.
Are you gonna let this man walk away with your money?
Damn, Steve Wilkos wants a piece of Wolverine now, making his debut in a stupid wig, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. If Pryde of the X-Men has taught us anything, Australians are interchangeable with Canadians.
Hold it! The kid stays here, she'll just get in the way!
Fun fact! Producers actually considered Russell Crowe, Keanu Reeves, and even Bob Haskins as Wolverine. And considering that Wolverine is a short, stocky guy, Bob Haskins was probably the most accurate fit. But ultimately, they casted Doug Rees-Scott. And because production took so long, Doug Rees-Scott moved on to Mission Impossible 2. I've seen Mission Impossible 2. Ouch. And now he's on Batwoman. Again, ouch.
You're sticking with water.
Fine. I don't need your Canadian money with your pictures of hockey players on it.
I'll have the beer.
Hopefully not a Corona. I'm kidding. Corona was never real beer. See, that starey eyebrow thing he does, that is what won me over for thinking Hugh Jackman would be a good Wolverine.
Look out!
Ugh. The birth of mukbang. This movie doesn't exactly establish Wolverine or Sabretooth having any kind of connection, even though they are the greatest rivals in the comics. But I like to think that Wolverine's scent picked up something because it's something he recognizes. Then again, I'm kind of forced to use my imagination to fill in the gaps that do not exist. After easily being knocked out for the fast-healing Wolverine, that's something, he and Rogue are saved by Cyclops and Storm. Originally, it was supposed to be Dr. Hank McCoy, Beast, who was supposed to be examining Wolverine. But due to budgetary reasons, they decided to just make Jean Grey have a doctorate in medicine. But you know, Beast started off as a regular man, so I don't know why they couldn't have gone that route. This stupid-ass COVID-19 just makes me think about all the germs that can be in this hallway right now. Ugh.
Good morning, Logan.
It's pretty interesting that Professor X is still teaching himself, but I just love that Professor X's office is actually behind a hidden doorway. It's a perfect way to avoid parents during parent-teacher night.
Bye, Professor.
Bye, Kitty.
And that right there was Kitty Pryde. You know, the main girl from Pryde of the X-Men. Not that it matters, she's going to be recasted a few times until they settle on Juno.
Where am I?
Westchester, New York. You were attacked.
You mean to tell me the mutant that's known for his fast healing abilities was out cold from Canada to New York? Okay, sure, I'll play your game. Movie gotta be movie.
You're in my school for the gifted, for mutants. You'll be safe here from Magneto.
What's a Magneto?
Magneto! What's Cheeto? Goes to the gas station to buy a lotto. If he wins, he's gonna buy a lotto.
Okay, alright, that's enough.
Cyclops, Storm, and Jean were some of my first students.
Professor Exposition to the rescue.
Like your friend Rogue.
Hey, Jubilee, what are you doing here? You had your chance, but you failed with Generation X.
Mankind has always feared what it doesn't understand. Well, don't fear God, Senator, and certainly don't fear me. Not anymore. Let's just say God works too slowly.
Theatrically, I think this is the first time we get a villain whose purpose is to serve others who are like him, to make sure people do not have the same horrible past like he did. Really, in his mind, he thinks he's the hero. I'm sorry I keep bringing this movie up, but this machine is kind of reminiscent to the same machine from Pryde of the X-Men.
In less than a day, most of the human race will be wiped out. The mutants will rule the Earth.
Now, granted, it's not going to send a comet to the Earth, but it is going to wipe out the human race. And for it to work, it needs to be conducted through the body of a mutant.
Where's your room?
With Scott down the hall.
Was that your gift, putting up with that guy?
I have to address this. The movie still has a soft spot in my heart, but it does fail in character development. I get it. The first movie has to be introduction of the X-Men, and that's why Wolverine serves as the avatar for the audience. However, there's no proper evolution in the dialogue. In the comics, Wolverine's heart belongs to Jean Grey. Problem is, Jean Grey's heart actually belongs to Cyclops. But there's no build-up. It's as if the writers are just trying to rush through the motions using cliff notes of the comics. So instead of a nice lead-up of, showing Wolverine falling for Jean, it just kind of makes him come off as like a sexual predator.
Couldn't wait to get my shirt off again, huh?
I can move things with my mind.
Really? What kinds of things?
And in the movie, Wolverine has beef with Cyclops out of nowhere. In the comics, Wolverine is supposed to have beef with Cyclops. But that's more because Cyclops is the strategic leader, and Wolverine is kind of the hot-headed loner. So when you compact that with the fact that Wolverine does love Jean, that's where they conflict. So in the movie, again, Wolverine's issues with Cyclops is unwarranted.
Logan.
Scott down the hall.
Was that your gift, putting up with that guy?
And the idea of an old man that's well over a century old having jealousy because two young people are in love just amuses me.
You gonna tell me to stay away from your girl?
Well, if I had to do that, she wouldn't be my girl.
Well put, Scott. Destroy that alpha male stigma.
Oh, and Logan, stay away from my girl.
And like that, you just destroyed your own argument. Good idea. Put an unhinged guy near students. Watch out, Captain Marvel. Rogue is gonna take your powers, the strength and flight, but not the blasting for some reason.
Magneto's hordes are on the way to pillage, burn, and plunder.
It's the little nuances that make this movie great, like Magneto's disdain for Sabretooth. Ew! Harvey Weinstein, this isn't a nude beach. Aww.
Welcome to Cerebro.
Cerebro, built partly by Magneto. Afterwards I made him a burrito, but he said no. He's trying a diet keto. Sorry. Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine goes to find Rogue after Cerebro reveals she is catching a train. Now, if you're trying to go inconspicuous, why are you wearing that bulking visor? Everything else, regular clothes, but my God, let's wear the big-ass...
Whoever said I wanted you?
Runaway train, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track. 1,000 likes and I'll stop my singing. Please subscribe and make that bell ringing. Keep in mind, in 2000, this was a badass measure of Maggie's powers. And his strength grows throughout the films, but this is the most impressive way he does it. No CGI, just wires. Hell, I still love it today.
That's enough, Eric.
Let them go.
What do you want her for?
I don't think I can stop them all.
Magneto can go from 0 to 100 real quick. And it's very easy for a writer to just kind of make him go ballistic. But Ian McKellen's touch to make him charismatic and proper, to me that is actually more scary, because then you never really know how comfortable you can be around him. The guns are lowered, quickly regain the control of Sabretooth and have him snap Magneto's neck.
Stop it. Get some help.
I think you've got one less person to be afraid of.
Cerebro poisons Xavier from Mystique's sabotage. Because science, shut up.
You actually go outside in these things?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Yeah, in that time, designers felt the need that every superhero needed to wear black leather.
Security.
I mean, you have to know your body by now, right? Having Wolverine scream like that, even though it is Mystique, it's still silly. Is it too soon to make a COVID-19 joke about that?
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? Same thing that happens to everything else.
Bryan Singer blames Halle Berry for the butchering that line, but how do they really think that line was going to go? Our hero, kids. Sucker stab Logan.
Hey, it's me.
Prove it.
You're a dick.
Okay.
No, he's not. Stop it.
Storm, fry him.
Oh yes, a bolt of lightning into a huge copper conductor.
Wolverine, Cyclops, and Storm are trapped, but there's really nothing stopping Jean from using her telekinesis, right? And if Magneto's powers are too strong, maybe wait for him to leave and then use your telekinesis to get the visor from Sabretooth? Please, if I'm giving Jean too much credit, let me know in the comments. I'm actually curious to know. You know, because Wolverine can heal quickly. Unless he gets knocked out by Sabretooth. Wolverine and Sabretooth fight for the first time, but they also kind of act like they know each other. All in all, I would actually have to say the Statue of Liberty scene is pretty awesome.
You drop something?
No.
Pretty funny. Both times you face Sabretooth, and it's Cyclops that has to finish your fight. I love this guy's face. What is this illuminating garbage? Ooh, once again, Cyclops bails out Wolverine. It's not that I'm Team Cyclops, but these movies do a very terrible job showing respect to the leader of the X-Men.
The Mutant Registration Act continues to draw support.
Mystique.
And no one else questions the yellow eyes. Hey, is that the Senator? Why, yes it is. Good old Senator Hepatitis Eyes.
back for this.
Wait, she's not joining the X-Men, is she? She's just a kid.
The war is still coming, Charles, and I intend to fight it. And I will always be there. Old friend.
Oh, I got him good! Yes, I had the last word. Yes, sir. That was X-Men. So, does it still hold up 20 years later? Well, costumes? Sure. Plot? It's a simple introductory movie. Usually begins with a new member moving into the mansion and joining the team. It's a formula that works. Now the biggest flaw, it's the writing. And yes, it's not fair to compare comic books to movies. That is my number one rule. And that's because we're trying to fit in decades of story into a 2-hour film. The writing complaint is really that they rushed through all the character development, except for between Xavier and Magneto, and Wolverine and even Rogue. And it's sad that these movies treat Wolverine as the leader because he's marketable. It takes away the focus from the rest of the team. And it's because of that, Cyclops' role was diminished as the movies kept going. And it's sad because in the world of X-Men, most of these characters have some real rich stories. And I'm not saying we need to focus on each and every single person. That would just take too long. But I think it would have been beneficial for us to have known what was at stake for the other characters. And overall, I would say the casting was excellent. And I do also include everyone's favorite punching bag, Halle Berry. I mean, she couldn't hold on to the accent, but that's, again, more of a directing and writing issue. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine actually redefined the comic book character. And I would say probably for the better, because, of course, now we got to see Wolverine as a human being instead of a grunting animal. And the Shakespearean background of Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, I would actually say is the driving force of these movies. And we really shouldn't throw this movie aside just because there have been better superhero movies since. If it wasn't for this film, we probably wouldn't have had the superhero movie genre that we have today. This movie has a realistic point of view of life, which cultivates from its civil rights roots. At the time, Marvel sales weren't that great. Had it not been for this movie, we probably may not have had other superhero movies come along, at least not for a very long time. I think this is what began normalizing the comic book geek culture. Before, you were an outcast for being a geek who loved comics. But now, everyone has brought themselves into that genre as well. It's a real connector. And I really do think this particular movie is what kind of pushed all that together. So long story short, does this movie still hold up after 20 years? Yes. Yes, it does. And I can actually see this movie being examined in a film class. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get some supplies. From Target.
Come at me, little man. Oh, I'll take you down. It's not a deep fall.
Got the shot. Scott, don't. There's a connection. Oh, you say that about everyone. Now knock it off or we're not going to Ruby Tuesdays. Relax. It's an airsoft gun.